one aircraft transformed the world.
Request permission to carry out a high-power ground run.
With 2 decks, carrying over 500 passengers. And wings the width of a football pitch. It was twice the size of any airliner before. The Boeing 747. Affectionately known as the Jumbo Jet.
Okay, going up on 1 and 4.
It's still an engineering marvel.
It's just awesome, the power of these things.
Now, as one 747, Victor X-Ray is stripped to its bare bones and given the biggest overhaul of its life, there's a rare opportunity to explore deep inside its hidden features.
Wow, this is pretty cramped. That is massive.
A 200-strong team of highly skilled engineers take on the challenge of checking over 20,000 parts of this mighty aircraft.
If we don't take that out now, that crack will just run and run and run.
Safety is paramount in this finely balanced machine. Every component from its engines to its kettles must be intricately examined for damage.
The amount of knowledge and experience we need to learn is just incredible.
I've got 3 children, they're very proud that Mummy works on airplanes.
Well, when you see it barreling down the runway as well, 140, 150 knots, you think, I did them, boxer.
And we'll reveal what happens to a Jumbo when it reaches the end of its working life. This is Engineering Giants.
I'm Rob Bell. I'm a mechanical engineer, and I've always loved to get my hands on complex machines to discover how they work.
I'm Tom Wrigglesworth, an electrical engineer with a passion for big machines. And this is Victor X-Ray, the 747 that's about to let us in to all its engineering secrets. This is the shortest flight this plane will no doubt ever do. It's flying just 132 miles, from Heathrow to Cardiff Airport.
And in a few moments' time, this is where the 747 will arrive. This enormous maintenance hangar. All planes are regularly maintained, but every 6 years, 747s come here for a complete overhaul. That means that they're stripped right down. Every part is meticulously checked before being reassembled and sent back out into service.
This is the first time that British Airways have allowed cameras to film the complete overhaul of one of their aircraft. And we'll be there for every critical stage in the engineering process.
This is a perfect opportunity for me and Rob to see deep within the Boeing 747 and appreciate how amazing these enormous machines are. So there's your aircraft coming now.
Victor X-Ray was the 1,172nd Jumbo to be manufactured by Boeing. It was delivered to the airline 14 years ago and has since flown 36 million miles, equivalent to 1,500 times around the world.
So we have the shutdown checks, please.
As Captain Doug Brown shuts down the engines and hands the plane over to the Cardiff engineering team, I've been offered a rare glimpse inside the flight deck. Hey Doug, thank you for letting me in here. This is
No problem.
Well, it's every boy's dream, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Every boy's dream. What is the least used or pressed switch?
To be honest, very few of them get used in flight. When the 747-400 was designed in 1989, it moved from being a 3-crew airplane with a flight engineer's panel there, which had thousands of buttons, dials and gauges, and a full-time flight engineer, to an automated 2-crew airplane with just 2 pilots.
So this is a simplified version?
This is, in some ways, yes, but what's going on behind the scenes is quite complex. The actual heart of the airplane is this flight management computer. And what that allows us to do is to program the airplane and the autopilot of the aircraft with a lot of the information before flight And then as we go through the flight, we're actually using the flight management computer to control the aircraft as much as anything else on the airplane.
In the case of raw flying, what's the minimum amount of controls you'd need?
In the absolute worst case, you can fly the aircraft using these three basic instruments here. Okay. Artificial horizon, airspeed indicator and altimeter. Okay. I don't know of any case where a 747's got down to flying on those instruments. There is a huge amount of redundancy built into the airplane.
Now, it's time for the £200 million worth of 747 to be carefully towed into the maintenance hangar, where it will live for the next 5 weeks.
I always wondered what it'd be like to be part of the ground crew at Heathrow. I'm guessing getting a bit of a feel for it now. Handbrake on, good to go.
Now I can finally climb aboard through what is currently the only way in, a maintenance hatch in the belly of the plane.
Welcome aboard, BA Flight 319.
Thank you very much. How's your flight?
Excellent, thank you.
Oh, cheers, man.
I'll give you a hand. Here we are, first class.
It's pretty spacious up here.
Very spacious. Been sat in C1A.
How's the view from up there?
I'll show you.
Oh, that's the stuff.
Absolutely, yeah. This is 1A.
Reserved for the creme de la creme.
Absolutely.
Which makes this seat what?
Mick Jagger's girlfriend.
That'll do.
Now that Victor X-Ray is safely inside the hangar, the engineering team can begin the monumental task of stripping the jumbo back to its aluminium shell and forensically examining all of its critical parts for the smallest defect.
Because number one to us is safety. Safety, safety, safety. We are looking after people's lives here.
You can't make any mistakes. You got to be right all the time. You know, there's no garages at 36,000 feet.
Over the next 5 weeks, engineers will work in teams within different areas of the plane, methodically searching for any signs of damage amongst Victor X-Ray's 6 million components.
One day we come into work and we'll be doing the cabin, which is very involved. There's all sorts of different disciplines of engineering that the cabin holds. And the next day we could be on the wing. The next day we could be doing the engine runs at the end of the check, which is pretty exciting.
This complex operation will take over 30,000 working hours, with the team having to complete 12,000 separate jobs.
We pretty much run 7 days, 24 hours.
General Manager Bill Kelly is in charge of the maintenance facility.
How many years would that be flying for?
Well, this aircraft could fly upwards of 25 years.
Really?
So yeah, absolutely. Very robust, very reliable, strong aircraft. And when well maintained, as we do, they'll go on for many, many years yet.
Bill and his team are under massive pressure to finish Victor X-Ray's overhaul on time. On the same day it's due for completion, the jumbo is scheduled to fly passengers to South America. Delays can cost millions of pounds.
You know, you get something wrong in maintenance where it delays you by a day or 2 days, it can really start to impact the rest of your operation. So you need to be on the ball, you know.
Much of the work on Victor X-Ray's fuselage needs to be carried out at height. The tip of its tail fin is 20 meters above the ground, so the aircraft will be surrounded by this rig, designed by these engineers specifically to fit a 747.
It's not until you get right up close to the tail fin, like I am here now, that you get a sheer sense of scale for the whole thing. From the tip to the ground is almost 70 foot. And looking back along to the front of the aircraft is a perspective I've never seen before. It's seriously impressive.
The first big engineering challenge is to test one of the plane's heftiest components, the 18-wheeled landing gear. Locked into the scaffolding rig, the plane can't be propped up like a car, so its 180-ton weight is supported on 3 jumbo-sized jacks as the floor is lowered.
So I can see clear ground now between the wheels and the floor.
A failure of the mechanical systems that lower the landing gear could be disastrous. So this is the only occasion when engineers have the opportunity to check that the wheels can drop safely if the pilot has to rely on gravity.
Whoa, jeez. And here they come.
The landing gear weighs as much as a double-decker bus, so if it was simply allowed to fall down, it could potentially cause serious damage.
Just getting the front one done.
So its mechanisms are designed to offer enough resistance to control the speed of deployment.
So now they've dropped, the guys are just giving them a push to get them finally locked into place. If you're in air and you had to do that, the pilot would just kind of swing the plane a bit and get them to swing out and lock. And for the back gears there, the air pressure that's flowing past it would lock those back into place. What are these two plates at the top here?
Well, on the nose wheel, you've got no brakes.
Okay.
So when the aircraft takes off, the wheels are spinning pretty fast. So those are basically big scuff plates. The tyres will hit them, and it just slows them down and stops them.
Okay, okay.
Inside Victor X-Ray, the cabin team are preparing to strip out all the seats. Melanie Gedders and Janice Nash are among a growing number of female engineers working at the facility.
You say you work for British Airways, everybody knows the label, the brand, and they assume that you're cabin crew, you know? They don't naturally assume that you work in engineering. So it's something to be proud of. I've got 3 children, they're very proud that Mummy works on airplanes and fixes airplanes, so that's definitely one to tell the kids.
Brilliant.
Yeah, you go home from work one day and all your friends saying about you've been stuck in the office, and then you go home and say, I've been walking the wing today, and they're like, wow, it's great.
Through rigorous training, engineers must learn every facet of the 747. Stan Williams first worked on the Jumbo 19 years ago, and flying on one has never been the same since.
I'm listening for everything.
You listen out?
You can't help it. I wish I didn't. Sometimes I'll put headphones on because you don't want to hear. There's lots of noises, different noises that go on an aircraft when it's in flight. And but you can't help it. It's in our blood, if you like.
Before everything disappears from the cabin,
This is the CSD's office.
cabin crew member Becky Wadsworth has agreed to reveal some aspects of working on a 747. She spent over 10,000 hours in the air on planes like Victor X-Ray, where space is extremely tight.
These are the ovens.
These are the ovens,
Yeah.
OK. On an average flight, Becky and her team will serve 300 passengers over a ton of food and drinks. Is it true that when there's 2 pilots on board, they have to have a different meal?
That's absolutely. So, you know, should there be something wrong with the chicken, for example, then you don't want them both coming down ill with the same things.
And it's those little flashpoints that, I mean, who decides first?
It's normally the captain.
Captain first, co-pilot gets what's left.
Absolutely. I mean, the captain will often say, you choose first.
Oh, what a lovely English tradition. A 14-hour flight in cramped conditions is hard work.
Well, you would hope that they would discuss it.
So today's 747 crews are able to use a secret compartment above the passengers' heads.
At the stairs here is the crew rest area.
Space is of a premium, isn't it, up here?
Absolutely. Cosy.
Oh, wow. So what's the longest flight you do?
It's about sort of 14 hours from Singapore.
And in that time, then, how long would you get to spend enjoying this luxury?
You'd get about, sort of 3.5 hours rest.
So I think what you also should have is a little button to call a member of the public up to help.
Back down in the cabin, the next test is on a critical safety component that airlines hope their passengers will never see.
Go on. Whoa! That was impressive.
Failure of the chutes is not an option. With lives depending on them, they must inflate within seconds and stay inflated. So all 12 chutes are sent to the interiors workshop for rigorous testing.
Wow, it's huge.
Here, specially trained engineers like Michael Wake ensure that the slides are leak-free and inflate at incredibly high speeds.
Basically, they've got to open up within a certain time limit, which on these particular unit is 3 seconds.
Okay, so what's the process behind inflating one of these rafts?
The door